Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Mustard Seed. I'm Andrew.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Josh.
Join us on our journey.
It's Wednesday morning. You know what that means.
All right.
We're back.
Back at it. Yeah, let's jump into a top five. I don't know if you guys noticed, I kind of retired the dad jokes until maybe we'll bring them back during football season again. You know, we'll bring back the top five and the dad jokes again.
Took a break from being a dad too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took a break from that. That's why I have no jokes. Boom, there's your dad
There's
joke.
your dad joke. We just came back we just had a dad weekend, you and I.
Yeah, we did.
We were single dads.
It was, yeah.
It was fun. So our wives went on a bachelorette party together with the group, and it was for your sister's
My
wedding.
sister's,
So,
yeah.
very exciting. But we got to be home with our kids. I had a lot of fun with Elliot. I feel like I've just been so busy during my weeks that it was really nice to have a weekend where it was just him and I. I just enjoyed it. It was just a lot of fun. He didn't have mama to always
Run to.
yeah. No one else was in the way. It was just me. It was fun.
Yeah, I had a good time too. I was just exhausted. I was doing everything. You know, Logan's a little older. He's going to be 4. So he's a little more sentences and able to, manipulate
Speak his
and
mind.
speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was really just trying to really distract him. I went to Chuck E. Cheese. I went to the farm. I went the aquarium. I was just bringing him places just to do things and have fun, and then just have that downtime too. But towards the end of the day, I was exhausted. I was needing Advil. It's ooh.
It's so much to travel. I don't know how you do it, Josh. You have 2, but 3. It's so much to travel or just go places with kids, and doing that alone, that's another element.
I just took the 3 of them to Costco by myself for the first time, and they did great. It's funny how that is, how you're worried about everything that could happen, and you're kind of maybe we shouldn't do this, but then when you actually do it, it's oh,
Yeah.
great. It's when we took them to Chick-fil-A for the first time, just probably a month ago, and they were so great. But the whole time we're oh, they're gonna run all over the place. They're gonna bother everybody. They're gonna grab people's food. But no, they were good. They were good.
Did they sit in the cart? If you go to Costco, were they all in the cart, or
Yeah.
you had them all?
Well, so Eli was walking with me, and then they have the giant carts with the 2
yeah, exactly.
seaters.
There's so much space.
Yeah, I was nervous at first because I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but then I remembered that they got them big honking carts.
Yeah.
So I was able to put John and Grace in the cart, and they were great, just eyeing everything up and helping me pick food. And
How did Eli do at the aquarium? I forgot to ask you about that.
So we both have Elijah. We just went from
Yeah.
Eli to
Yeah.
Eli.
Eli to Eli. Yeah, that's why I was
We both
Andrew.
have Eli's. E.T. That's mine.
E.T.
Elijah Thomas.
E.T. and Elliot.
He's the total opposite of his brother. He's such chill and just go with the flow, and he kind of just Logan would be having a yelling fit, and he'll just go and glance at him and then glance at us. And I was I told Jess before he was born, I can't wait for that moment. I want him to just look at Logan and be what's going on over there, and then look at us you guys gonna deal with this?
I've noticed that because
Yeah.
when we were together on Saturday, he does just kind of look at Logan.
Yeah.
And he's oh, there he goes again.
And it's funny
Just
too.
sit.
It's he doesn't really cry, but when he gets one time, when he was younger, he got upset, and Logan was yelling, and it calmed him down. I was yeah, that's because it's this white noise. He heard it through the womb. It probably shook him there. But Logan was great this weekend. He really listened, and he really took big steps where I didn't even have to tell him. I was sitting on the couch feeding Eli, and then he was playing with his Hot Wheel cars, and then all of a sudden he started cleaning them up and took out something else, and I was just whoa.
What just happened? Am I seeing this correctly?
Yeah.
Those moments, like, I guess, like, the kids just, like, grow. Like, he's going to be 4 this year. So, like, there's just, like, crazy jumps, I guess, from, like, 3 to, like, growing up wise, right?
Oh, big time. Yeah, 3 to 4 is such a massive difference. Like a 4-year-old is like the best. Like I love having a 4-year-old. They're just like so. But Eli is just so like they're so silly and they're like starting to understand things, and so they'll just say like these most ridiculous stuff ever, and it's just very comical and very fun. Like
A lot to look forward to. Yeah.
Like, I lost my wallet and I couldn't find my wallet before coming here. And I'm, like, frantically looking. And, like, Logan's, like, excited, like, looking like it's an Easter egg hunt. And I'm, like, trying not to, like, say a comment to him or push him out of the way. I'm like, oh, thanks for helping. Check in there. And he's like, Daddy, I think a bad guy just took your wallet. It's gone. You should call the police.
yeah, I love it.
I was like, well, they won't get much.
You could have it. That's great. Yeah, that's fun.
I was more upset if I lost it. I have a vintage Blockbuster card. That's what I didn't want. You know, I was more upset about that. Where is it?
Whoa.
Wow.
So I was like,
A membership card for Blockbuster?
it's not mine. It's Jess's grandfather's. Joe.
Yeah.
So when he passed, it was in his wallet, and I was like, I want this in my wallet.
That's so funny. I'm going to take the Blockbuster card.
That's all I want.
That's it. Blockbuster card. That's a really cool looking card, though.
Yeah.
it's the
I
nostalgic
could pull
vibe
it
to
out and be like, I don't have my ID, but I got this.
Yeah, like that will tell you how old I am.
Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of IDs, I need to change my picture. I'm 15 in my picture, and I look way too young. I just had another.
Me too.
Every time I get ID'd, the guy's like, "Are you sure this is you?" I'm like, yes. Like,
I'm 21 in mine, so I got to change mine too.
It's up this year, so I can renew it and I can take a new picture. So.
You know why? It's just easier just to renew it and they mail it to you instead of like going.
Exactly,
In. It's, like,
that's what I
It's
did.
annoying to like go there.
Yeah.
Because now it's going through hoops to go to the DMV.
Is it really?
I believe so. I think they're still on like the COVID schedule where it's like you got to make an appointment. You can't just show up and like you used to show up and try to get online first and then
Yeah, you just
get in and
get there really early.
Yeah.
Be the first online. Yeah. Fun stuff. So what's the top 5 today? What do you got?
Top 5. Top 5 visited websites.
Visited websites. I would have to think a search engine's got to be number 1, right? Like Google's got to be number 1.
Google is number 1.
There you
Bang bang.
go. Visited websites. Probably like Amazon.
Amazon is not in the top 5.
Wow, really?
Wow, I would think Amazon would be on there too.
Crazy.
So not like any of the social platforms because those are going to be on your phone.
It's all social.
It's all social.
Yeah.
So Facebook.
Facebook is 3.
Twitter.
Twitter is 4.
YouTube.
YouTube is 2. And
Instagram.
then Instagram's 5. So we got Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Really?
Yep.
Isn't the Instagram platform a little funny on the website? I've never.
It's got to be, I guess, a bunch of like elderly people. Going
Yeah,
on,
sure.
you know?
Using their computers.
Just typing it in. www.instagram.com. I'm on the gram.
Google. I feel like that was an easier one. Out
Does
of all the
going,
things we
yeah.
did, that was kind of.
Does going on your phone count as like, because you're going online? Does it count?
That's a good question.
That?
Towards that,
Yeah, I don't
maybe.
know.
I know that there's all different like when you have right the back end of different things to see like the viewerships of things. Like there's always a separate tracking if you come from like a mobile device versus like a
Yeah,
website
so I think it's
device.
different. Yeah, it's different. Tracks differently.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Like it's only like 2 companies right there between
Yeah.
Google and Meta. Like, I guess Twitter is different, but
Yeah, because Google owns
YouTube.
and then Facebook, Instagram,
I mean, Elon is alone.
and Twitter is its own world.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
They're their own way.
Are you guys still on? I deleted Twitter.
Yeah, I deleted mine too. I don't.
I never had one.
Never had one. I've
It's
just
bad
been
news for
trying
me.
to delete all like my social stuff, but I made a fake Instagram, like just an Instagram page to have access to Instagram to be able to watch and like see the real tea stuff, so I kind of like stay up to date with like all of our posts. And it's just like so quickly. I don't even follow anything besides real tea, but my whole suggested feed is now all golf videos. Like it happened that quickly, and I am just suckered in. Like literally, I'll pick up my phone now and I'll just open Instagram and I just watch the videos. I'm like,
I think that's what
it's
we were
that
talking
quick.
about 2 weeks ago, or last week, or whatever.
Were we
it
talking
was.
about that? Yeah.
We talked about how it's just like what our children think of us, you know,
On our
staring at the
phones.
box.
Yeah.
Or Jess was saying a dog, like, what's wrong with this human just staring at, you know, just sitting there.
I have at
gonna
the
do
barber
anything?
shop, the lady has a bunch of like pictures on her mirror, and some of them are comic strips, and there's one that she's had for the longest time, and it's a picture of like a person behind bars, and she's like, I understand now why they call they call our phones cell phones, because it's like you're in prison to your phone or something like that, like you're in a cell. I was like, okay, there we go, that's it. I figured it out.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy how much the tech has advanced in our lifetime and how drastically it has affected our culture. Like how everyone is so taken by it.
It's very addicting. It is. When was the last time you guys did something outside? I know it's not like the weather just got nicer, but when was that like a nature walk or anything like that? Like I honestly don't think I could tell you. Like I'd really have to think about it, right? Like
On my own, like
or
on your
just
own,
with
or-
friends, family, whatever it is. Like last time, because when Ronnie and I were dating, we would go to like Stony Brook a lot. And we would just walk through the Avalon and everything. Like
Grandma, I remember one time called me, our grandmother. She's like, Ryan and Ronnie walked in a gazebo together.
what?
She called me and she was very excited that you went by the Smithtown Library and then went into gazebo.
Oh, the Nest concert.
She was
Yeah,
like,
that's
KISS.
Pretty much.
She's
She's
spilling our secrets. What's up, Grandma? That was like our first date, actually.
she told me everything. She called me.
Wow. Yeah, that was our first date.
She was at Sundry like this.
Yeah, she must have been watching from across
Some
the
binoculars.
street. She's making sure.
I just thought of it. So we went to that, like the duck pond in East Setauket. You
Yeah.
guys been to that a big pond that's right there?
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah.
little nature walk or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went there like maybe I don't know, maybe like a month and a half ago. Something like
Nice.
that. That was the last time.
There you go. We've been to the park a bunch with Elliot. That I don't think that counts. I was thinking.
Yeah, I
like,
go on
going
walks.
on like nature things.
I go on walks around my blocks. That's
There
it.
you go. Yeah. Because we got a last year we had the pass for the New York State parks. There are just so many great parks. We've talked about this in the podcast. Like, and there's just that. I've been reflecting on that a little bit more. I feel like I am separated from nature and like enjoying that aspect of life and how you can appreciate God and the beauty of life through nature. So I want to try and make a point of that. Barely have time to do anything these days, so I don't know how I'll ever get in on some nature walks. But
When you finally move into your house and like you mow your lawn, this Josh can speak on it. The feeling like it gives me peace. After I mow my backyard and everything, and then maybe the next day I'll like walk out on my deck and I'll have my coffee and I'm just like looking out and I just like take a deep breath. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love
that
that.
feeling.
Like, yeah, mowing the lawn, doing the weed whack, and making it look all good, and then like what I do is like as I'm leaving for work, I'll take like a second take. I'll just like look at it like, as I'm driving by, and be like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
that's a good lawn.
Pretty
Whose
good,
lawn is
yeah.
that?
That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that for sure.
Yeah.
When I worked at the grounds crew, like doing all the groundskeeping and stuff for the golf course and everything, I was always like, I can't wait to use these skills on my own lawn one day.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, unless they do it now, the lawn's gonna need work. Because we just were there this past weekend dropping off furniture and stuff, and everything, the whole yard is overgrown because no one's been living in it for the past.
I'm surprised
6
that
months.
they haven't had like someone mow it.
I think they're going to,
Yeah.
but yeah, everything's really overgrown right now. And actually, like, I didn't know what to take of this encounter as we were walking into the backyard because we were moving some things into the back. One of the neighbors that came up to us, and it was my dad, me, and Jonathan. We were walking there, and he's like, "Hey, do you need a lawnmower?" And like, I was a little confused by that question. I was like, "Yes, like, I do need one." But he was like, "Oh, great," and he's like, "I'll get you mine." And I was like, "Wait, like, what do you mean?" Like, I had no idea. He's like, "Are you gonna mow your lawn?" And I was like, "Well, we're not moving in yet." Blah blah blah. Like explaining it. I like didn't understand if he was trying to like sell it, like whatever. And then he
He was
introduced
like,
himself
"It's so-"
afterwards.
the feeling that we just described, he's like, I gotta look at this. every
Yeah,
day."
exactly. That my dad's
You
like,
mow
"Oh."
this.
I know. We were like, "I'm sorry about the lawn." He's
Mow
like, "It
this
makes my
lawn."
lawn look good."
He comes out, he's trying to enjoy. He's like, and he's looking at his, and then he goes,
It's us. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure, right? The whole neighborhood, because everyone's lawns were really nice. They're probably looking at that right now, like, what the heck is going on over there? But
I remember when we moved out of the Smithtown house. So me and Claire's dad did put a lot of work in that front lawn to make it look good. We like reseeded it, we did fertilizer, we cut it, all that stuff. And so when we moved away, they like the new owners like did not take care of the lawn. And so I remember driving by it, and it was like literally like to your knees.
Yeah.
It was like the grass
I
was so tall,
remember that.
even above that. And I was just like, oh man, like I was so frustrated. Like, come on, like we put all that work in, like gotta take care of it, man.
I remember driving by it a couple times because when I go to
yeah.
the land, and I'd always look, and it was so long.
So it was
Like,
bad,
it was
right?
so
It's
high.
like, geez Louise.
Yeah. Like that looked like a lion could have been prowling through.
Yeah,
it.
right?
It was that long. Like, and it was thick too. You did a good job fertilizing and seeding it because it was thick. I remember that. Weren't they from the city?
Yeah,
Was that
they
their
were.
deal? They
Yeah,
didn't really know how to
didn't do it. Yeah.
work a lawnmower.
can't work a lawnmower. That's got to be. You should have to go through a test. Like if you're gonna be a homeowner, like go through a yard test. Like, can you mow your lawn? Can you like drive in a car? You got to go through your
What
test.
fertilizer should you use?
They make you watch a video. Don't shake the baby. Like, can you mow your lawn? Like,
yeah.
good stuff.
Word. So yeah, please like, comment, subscribe.
Thanks
Follow
for
us.
watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
See you next week.
I feel like we got to say this throughout the
good.
episode.
Yeah,
you know?
I was gonna.
I always
applaud
keep
that.
saying like, oh, we got to say it throughout the episode. And then remind me too. They've been asking me to go live on Facebook.
Go live
Yeah.
on Facebook. Whoa.
Well,
So maybe we'll do that after while we're editing. Well, while Josh is
We'll
in.
go live.
We'll go live.
Just start streaming.
Yeah.
I would actually be interested in streaming. That would be a fun thing to do. To play some games together and like.
Oh, Josh, do you have Switch? Do you have the Nintendo Switch? No. I was wondering
you?
if you were. No, I don't either. But I talked to a lot of people at work who've been obsessed with the new Zelda game. So they're like coming to work like dead tired. Like I stayed up. I have 40 minutes sleep.
yeah.
That's wild.
Those games can really take you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been playing like old games recently. I've been playing like Skyrim. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that one before.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've never played.
Yeah.
Is that the one with the little robot? And no.
No, it's like dragons and stuff. It's like a fantasy old RPG game.
Oh. What was the purple dragon?
Spyro.
Spyro. Surprised they haven't tried to make that a live action something. You know.
Yeah, like a movie.
Well, they did just they like remade them or did a remake, a remaster or something like that, just a couple years ago.
You know what game I used to like? Well, I liked Sly Cooper, and I liked the Jack and
Yeah, I
used to
love those games.
I enjoyed those games.
Yeah, I played those growing up. The three, the Jack and Daxter, Jack 2 and
Yeah.
Jack 3. Yeah.
Yep, those were good. Good
Sly
stuff.
Cooper was great. I
Sly
love
Cooper
Sly
was
Cooper.
good, too.
That was one of my favorites. Yeah.
The Thieves Raccoonus.
Yes, and the turtle and the pig. What were their names? I don't
And a
even
hippo,
remember.
no?
Was it a hippo or a pig? A hippo.
Maybe a hippo.
I thought it was pink. That's why I thought it was a pig. But it was big, so that would make sense that it was a hippo. Those were fun games. They had 3 games too. I think they had like the trilogy. Yeah, those are great. Good stuff.
Yeah.
The Thieves. Thieves.
now let's segue into Jesus talk.
Let's do it.
Jesus was up on the mountain playing Jack and Daxter too.
Yeah, I was thinking like, how are we gonna bridge that gap? Segue, and we're here.
It just anything works if you just say segue, right?
That's it.
Segue.
Transition.
Transit. Ooh.
Ready, go.
Transition.
Transition. You start. You got it.
Let's talk about Jesus and like this thing. Josh is going to read just a little bit of it. It's too long to read the whole thing. You'll be on our YouTube all night if we read the whole thing. But this is like about being submissive to God, and like you may think like God's got you on the calm waters, but you may think it's rocky, and you're like trying to navigate, and you're like, you really got to put your faith into God. Like it's not all going to be, rainbows and butterflies with your faith and like submitting to God. Like you're not going to understand what he wants you to do. And Jesus is what he's saying here relates to this.
Yeah, very much.
Sure thing. So I'll just read like a verse back.
Yeah,
That
just what he
get
said.
a little
Yeah.
context.
Nice intro. That's good.
So Jesus went out to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. When he came to the place, he told them, "Pray that you will not enter into temptation." And he withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, where he knelt down and prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done."
Right there where he says, "Not my will, your will." That's him submitting to God, submitting to the Father. And it's just like very powerful where like he knows what's about to happen. He knows what he's going to go through. And obviously he's scared a little bit, but he's not saying like, "I'm not doing this. You can't make me." God did a good job having Jesus as a kid, there's no talk back.
Yeah.
Like, clean up those cars. No, I'm not going to do that.
Maybe Joseph had to deal with that for a little bit. But, but it is Jesus' life is the example of how we should live. And that line is great. Like, I feel like you could take that to prayer. I know I try to take that to prayer very often, just throughout my day. It's just not my will, but your will. And it's that ultimate trust and surrender. And
surrender.
I mean, that line alone can just summarize, like, when you say, like, what does it mean to practice your faith or to be living, in relationship with God? Like, that's it. When you have moments or difficult tasks or even just anything, you're starting your day. It's like, okay, how can I live in a way that is allowing your will to be not my will? That's not easy, but It's something that can be excellent.
Yeah, and I think I love that first part where he's just like, "Father, if you're willing, like, take this cup from me. Like, I don't really want to do this. I don't really want to do this. So if it's your will, please take this from me." And for me, that's kind of comforting in the sense of like, it's okay if you're in a scenario that like you don't necessarily want to be in, because I think sometimes we want life to be perfect constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to be comfortable and to be happy and content always. And so when we're in moments of like discomfort, maybe life's hard a little bit, like we kind of feel bad sometimes that we aren't happy or that we aren't like content with something. And I feel like it's nice to just know that like Christ was like, "I don't want to do this really, like, can we maybe do something else?" And, but still being able to be faithful and longing for his will. So that's comforting to me.
Yes, 100% agree. Something I read too, because Jesus was 33 when he was crucified, and something I read too is like in a man's life, the most difficult time will be when you are Jesus's age, and I'm like, that's me this year. So I'll let you know. Keep it posted. But yeah, I read something like
Andrew gets crucified. What?
This is your crucify year. Is that it?
Yeah.
10 years removed from your Jordan year, you get your Jesus year.
Yeah. Crazy. My Jesus year is coming up.
Crazy. Yeah, I do think about that sometimes. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's funny you brought that up with age, because I thought about like my life often, kind of like the steps and where I wanted to be at different points in my life, 30 was always this number in my head. And like
It always
you
seems
think
further
about,
than it actually is, you know?
yeah, and here I am almost a year away. But like that's when Jesus' ministry started, right? At 30, you know, and to think about just life and this quote too, like, you know, there's times where it's like, I wish I could be doing more, or, you know, when am I ever going to get to that point where I'm feeling fulfilled or I'm doing what is fulfilling to me? But then it's reminding yourself that it's not all about yourself, right? And sometimes the things that you think you want, like you're just not there for it yet, right? So if you allow God's will to continue to take place, like you'll ultimately get to that point, you know? And sometimes it can take into you're 30 to really start making an impact in this world. And I don't know if that, I just feel like everyone's deepest desires at some point is to make an impact on the people around them, right? So that way to just don't put it all on yourself, but pray and allow it to say, where is your will, God, not my will. It can be powerful.
It's hard though.
Yeah.
It's really hard to like let go because we want to take control of everything. You know, we always want to grab the reins of our life because we think we know what's best. We think we know what'll work, and 9 times out of 10 we tend to not know. Like that's why it's always important for us to seek the will of the Father, because He always kind of like nudges us in the right direction, and things tend to go much easier when it's His will as opposed to us trying to force our hand through a peg, whatever.
Yep. We're trying to guide our way into heaven, and that's where He gives us our free will to like make the decisions of right and wrong. And I don't know, have you guys ever like sat down, like prayed and just like what do you want me to do? Like what can I do to further your ministry? What can I do to like, and have you ever like felt an answer like come to you? Like just like how like you're really talking to Him, like what do you want me to say? Like who do you want me to try to bring in? Because like that we've talked about it many times. That's our mission as Christians, as Catholics, to get as many people as we can to believe and become followers of Christ. And so I've been like really praying on that a lot lately, and a lot of it too was like just like when I was praying, a lot of it that came back to me was like the children, like protecting the children, and just like really we've talked about it countless episodes, but there's so much that's happening that is just like ridiculous, and it's sinful, it's shameful just to like put these events and just go after that. They're going after the children. It's so hard. And I saw something where like a couple government officials were saying like, there are children, they're not your children. No, it's my children, and it's Christ's children. The only person who can say it's there are children, I will only say that alongside is with Jesus, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thought of children too and stuff, like I found that a lot of times when I've kind of not understood where I am supposed to be going, a lot of times I keep getting directed back to like family, like who's around, like that's where your mission is, like that's who you should be focusing on, and the rest will take care of itself. And if like when I put that in mind, like because look, at the end of the day, right, a lot of what we understand with our faith, like it's the selfless love that Jesus showed us, like that's how we should live, right, selflessly. So I constantly try to like remind myself, it's like, how do I live in a way that it's my family first, right? And like it's quick, it's easy, it's just how much can sometimes get in the way of that thought process, right? And like there's just so much going on in the world, like in your day to day, that it's easy to like forget those ideas of like what is my real mission here, and that's family or selfless living. But yeah, that's
you can have moments too, like with the family and bring it into Christ. I'm sure, Josh, you have had so many proud moments with Eli. I don't know about the twins, if like they're with just like how they're growing, right? Are yours? He's 4, and so Logan's they're close in age. He's gonna be 5, right, this year. So they're close in age enough where it's like you're watching them grow, and I can't wait for you to like witness it, because like just like seeing like their faith, or just the little things. Like even when we were at your mom's house and we're all eating and we're not paying attention, and Logan's like, wait, we didn't say prayers. And it's just like that proud moment. Or he's constantly singing Jesus Loves Me, which I love. And
That's awesome.
It's just great. And just like those moments is like, okay, I'm doing something right, and you got to keep it going. So
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, well, the family is, like we said weeks ago, is like it's the final battleground ground or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so it's so important for us to remain faithful to them and to invest in them. And the Lord wants us in the home, like to take care of the home, to be present with our kids, to edify them, teach them the faith, and let them to become warriors for Christ. Like honestly, and especially the world that we're living in right now, like we need it. We need that. Like this is kind of like the safe haven is the family, And so it's important for us to really invest in that. And I think, the Lord is definitely directing us back into, to take care of that. Cause that's our vocation, as married men, like that's what matters is our wife and our children.
there's so much though. There's so many like people of faith and that are coming. That I think they're all realizing it, that they're coming after the children. They're targeting our children, and they're coming forward, and that's the main thing. We put up that armor. We protect them.
So that was a good question you posed before too. Like the thought of like, how do you know what is God's will, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you're in the when you're trying to figure that out and decipher that, like, because have you had those moments where you think you're like, yep, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, is there? Because that's where I think too. It's a lot of like questioning sometimes of myself of like, am I doing the right? Am I following your will? Like, how do I know this? You know, like where do I find that answer? And I don't necessarily know if you do in a way, but you do, right? Like what, I guess it can be different for everyone to really see like, this is it.
So I think for me in the past, like I've had moments where I've prayed and then I've had, prayers answered. But I think more in a recent, it's more like for me, it's like a reflection. So like looking back and then just being like, oh yeah, like that was the will of the Father. Because I'm, I keep talking about this job, but I think it's such a massive answer to prayers, because for so long it was like, God, what are we gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? Am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do this? Like, why can't, like, I'm like grasping at straws, and I don't know how to provide for the family and all this stuff. And I was like, I had no idea. Like, I remember there was a point where I was just like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I was like almost hopeless. Like, there's nothing for me. But then all of a sudden, I was able to stumble upon being a mailman. And it was like everything that is perfect for the family. Like, I didn't have to go back to school. Like, I will make enough money to support the family eventually. And like, it all like just worked out. And it was nothing that I had ever envisioned or planned on, or like, it was never on the radar for me. And I really like it. So like all of that combined was like, yeah, like this is the will, because it like worked out. It's like best for the family. I mean, right now it's tough because of the time, but like eventually it will be. But just because I'm working so much. But yeah, so I think for me, like looking back, you see all of the connections that kind of, all the things that work out, all the things that like kind of fall into place that are almost like coincidences or whatever. And then you're like, oh, it's you see God's hand working in the midst of everything. Like Claire and I do that sometimes with like relationships. We'd be like, okay, so how do we know Father Sean? Well, it's because of like this one event where somebody met Father Sean, who then like met a sister of Claire, and then like you like follow the line, and it's like, wow, like you see like all of this like interplay between like, oh, so this is where, well, I don't know, whatever, but
yeah, like this is where
God I'm saying you kind of
working.
see exactly like where his hand is, and
so it's about patience in a way, right? Like be patient, just keep
which is
away.
Really hard.
It's just hard to do, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
that is it is. Oh, fireworks. It is very hard to be patient and just like put your faith into, just to like submit and just like Josh was saying before, like we think like we can steer our own ship, but God's like always got a gentle hand, like trying to push you back. And
Yeah, he's like hitting
Yeah.
the water. He's like
Yeah.
splashing the water like, to make you
Just
move.
go that way.
No, this way, this way.
And he's yelling at. He's like, you know what happened to the last guy who tried to run away? I mean, he got eaten by a whale.
Yeah, keep it up.
Yeah.
Send the whale.
I'll walk outside to work one day, and all of a sudden I'll see a whale. I'm like, darn it.
I chose wrong. That's how you know when you chose wrong.
Just
When
on
the
the
whale's
street.
at your
Yeah.
doorstep.
It's like, come on in.
So then, have there been moments? Because I was trying to think about this when you guys were talking too, like, because this verse particular is God or Jesus asking God about taking the cup, right? So this is a difficult task that I don't necessarily want to take on, but I know that it's going to be for an ultimate good. Like, I think now I could feel it sometimes with like work, and it's not as literal as like I don't want to do this, but it's more about just knowing that there is so much that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like I almost feel like okay, take this, but at the same time, it's like this is important for, the ultimate will at the end of the day. So do you guys feel like you ever have those moments where it's like, oh, take this cup from me, like, and knowing that it's going to be an ultimate good, but it's going to be a challenge through that. I think Exodus was that for me sometimes. Like I did not want to do it, but it's like, let me embrace it because ultimately it's going to make me a better person.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can put that more specifically into just like daily challenges. Like, let me try and make more sacrifices daily because then I think that can ultimately help long term as well. But
I think Exodus definitely really kind of got the ball rolling a lot for me and a lot of like big changes that I made in my life. Because I think about Exodus, it like led me into this world of like, what would life be like without using your devices? And then that led me to like Matt Fradd, which drew me into the faith more so like in like a theological sense. And then eventually deciding to ditch my smartphone because that's what Matt Fradd's all about. And like it just like caused these big changes. So yeah, definitely like Exodus is it's really shakes you up, and it's difficult, but that's a good example of like a like good suffering that can lead to like a better life eventually.
Yeah, right. Like a rebirth. Of being risen.
Well, an Exodus, right?
An Exodus, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I can think back to like, because the first time we did it with when we did it together with James and Ryan, and that was more of that first step that I realized like a lot of those things that really weren't perfect at the time, but developed into good habits as that went on. Like, because I took so much from just that break from everything, and it made me shape like the way I do things now. Because I did remove a lot of social media, and I did try to step away from things. So yeah, there are those opportunities where we can kind of embrace something that's not easy, but it's very difficult, but can then be very rewarding at the end of the day.
And I think that's the nature of suffering, right? Like our culture hates suffering and does everything in its power to alleviate it. But there is something good about suffering in the sense of how it strengthens you because it causes you to be a better person. And when you accept it, recognize it, you can kind of mature and grow from it and get stronger. Like there's a story of like a moth and like how this guy was like walking through the woods and he sees this cocoon and the moth's trying to break out of it. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna help the moth get out. So he helps. He like opens up the cocoon, but then the moth dies and just falls to the ground because like it needs to struggle in the cocoon to get strong because it has to get strong enough to like break out of it and then be able to fly from then on. So all that to say that like suffering is a part of life and it's something that we endure. But ultimately, it is for good eventually. Like and I don't mean like, yeah, okay, we get it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think that's something that for us all, like in today's day and age, can like try and learn a little bit more from the fact that like there are moments of suffering. Like life is never going to be just easy, butterflies and rainbows, you know, like, but there's a solution to the suffering, and that solution and that redemption is the Redeemer himself, Jesus Christ, right? Like he died and rose again. So all of our suffering that we experience, if we take it to Jesus, right? If we allow him to bring his will into this, we will find peace and a reason behind that suffering, right? Maybe not in this life, but we will always ultimately understand why, you know? And there is a lot of times like it's good to reflect, right? Because then you can look back and say like, okay, wow, like I did go through those difficult moments, but it made me this. Like I ended up being better because of it, you know?
Sometimes though, those difficult moments just keep coming and coming and coming, and at the time you don't know why, and that's where it gets dangerous, where you just keep questioning it, and why is this happening to me, and why am I struggling with finances? Why am I struggling with this? What is going on? There's just so much turmoil, I guess, with struggling. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just like it could really just eat you up, and like that's where you're at your lowest, and that's where the devil comes jumping on in and can get you.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Because you find one, you were looking for those quick fixes, you know? And
Yeah, you always look for those quick fixes, and it's not the answer. And it's just, like you said, you got to struggle to get out of that cocoon to grow and fly.
yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And this verse is just something that I feel like can be just a great daily prayer. Like it can be a morning prayer, it can be a midday prayer. Like just that line alone, just to be able to read it, reflect on kind of where Jesus was in that moment, and hopefully that can help relieve any sort of questioning or uncertainty or suffering that like you're dealing with.
So there's also like suffering of like where everything is going, everything's good. Like you have that, you could have that happy home life. There's no problems between you and your wife. There's no issues like that. But like you're constantly just like, you can constantly just feel miserable, and you don't know why, and it just like constantly like eats at you, and there's no reason why, and it's just this dark cloud over you, and you're suffering that way, and it's just like any little inconvenience, it just turns into like a major thing, and it doesn't have to be. And I wish I had the answers to tell you like what to do in those situations other than pray, and like praying about it, talking to God. Why do you have these feelings? And it's just, I don't know. It's just, no.
Well, Thomas Aquinas has an answer. He Matt Fradd wrote a book called How to Be Happy, and it was looking at like the reality of what you're saying, Andrew, where it's like we're human, right? Like we were made for eternity, but we're in like a finite reality. So the reality is like nothing is really gonna like satisfy us here other than like God and experiencing him, but even all those emotions fade with time. So the whole thing is like we just have to like find those moments that we enjoy the world and like enjoy the pleasures of the world, but then in a good sense, and then also just experiencing the divine in the midst of it and trying to bring heaven here on earth while we can. But like that's kind of just the reality of our human condition, being made for eternity but stuck in a finite reality. Is like we're constantly wanting to suck God out of things when God isn't in those things per se, to like really fulfill that hole within us. But we can still be happy through some cool things.
And before we end it, I was thinking too, is like, have you ever like felt like God has like spoken to you in your head and told you something? And like sometimes like you got to be able to realize like what is actually God and what is not God. Like you may think like, oh, God's telling me this, it must be
like create your own voices.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
it's like be aware. That's the
yeah,
definitely
it's good.
For me, it's like peace. If something is like leads you into peace, then it's a good decision. That's kind of how I feel about stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like if it's going to lead you to like where things are more peaceful, Like I think it's usually always of God.
Yeah, like that exhale where you're just like, ooh, that felt good. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Go team.
Go team.
Well, please like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate you guys. Bear with us if we don't post every week. That moving schedules, moving this, that, the other. So, yeah. We appreciate you guys. Yeah, stay rooted in Christ.
Thanks for listening. Peace.